The station bar was usually loud every night. Pilots argued, traders laughed, and workers complained about long shifts. The place was full of noise, smoke, and bright lights. But on this night, everything changed in one single moment. The metal door opened with a sharp hiss, and something huge stepped inside. A predator entered the bar. The tall creature had heavy armor, sharp blades on its wrists, and a mask that covered its whole face. Every alien in the room froze. Drinks stopped halfway in mouths. A group of blue-skinned traders slowly put down their cards. Even the bartender's hands shook as he wiped the glass. Predators were known as hunters, fighters, warriors who lived by strict rules. They were dangerous, proud, and always ready for battle. No one wanted to be noticed by one. And this predator was clearly not here for friendly talk. The predator scanned the room. Its mask made clicking sounds as it adjusted. The small red lights on its shoulder cannon glowed softly. The room became so quiet that even the hum of the bar's cooling system sounded loud. Everyone knew what this meant. Someone here was the predator's target. Or maybe the predator wanted to show power. Either way, it was bad news. At the far end of the bar, a human sat on a stool, leaning back with one boot resting on the metal footrail. He was the only one still moving. He calmly lifted his glass and took a sip of beer. His name was Jack Turner, the station mechanic. He wore a worn jacket, oil stains on his sleeves, and a look that said he'd seen much worse things in life. The bartender slowly whispered, "Jack, stay still. Maybe it won't notice you." But Jack only shrugged and took another sip. He didn't look nervous at all. He looked more annoyed, like someone had just interrupted a good drink. The predator stepped forward. Each step was heavy, making the floor shake slightly. The other customers pressed themselves against the walls, trying to look small. No one dared breathe too loudly. The predator's gaze fell on the human. Jack raised one eyebrow. "You lost or something?" he said calmly. A few aliens almost fainted. Speaking to a predator so casually was something no sane creature would do. The predator tilted its head, confused by the human's tone. It clicked in an aggressive pattern. A warning. Jack took one last sip of his beer, then slowly placed a glass on the counter behind him. He stood up from the stool, stretched his arms a little, and then said something that shocked the entire room. "Hold my beer." The bartender looked panicked. "Jack, what are you doing?" Jack didn't answer. He just stepped forward, walking toward the predator with a casual but steady rhythm. His boots tapped on the metal floor. The predator watched him closely, expecting fear or trembling. But Jack looked relaxed, almost amused. The creature made a loud growl, echoing through the bar. The sound made several aliens drop to their knees. But Jack did not stop. He kept walking, unbothered. Yeah, he said softly. "I hear you. You're very scary." A small group of alien workers hid behind a table. One whispered, "Humans are insane." Another replied, "No, humans are worse. They are unpredictable." The predator reached down to its side, where a blade clicked open with a sharp sound. The thin metal glowed, faintly blue. The room filled with fear. The bartender covered his face. A few customers quietly prayed, but Jack simply looked at the blade and sighed. "Look, buddy, if you came here to make trouble, at least say something first." The predator stepped closer, towering over Jack by almost 2 heads. It leaned down, ready to scare him or test him. The red light on its mask glowed brighter. Jack stared back without blinking. A long moment passed. The bar felt like it was holding its breath. Everyone waited for the explosion of violence. Everyone expected Jack to run, scream, or fall to the floor. But Jack Turner was not like everyone else. He smiled slightly, like he knew something the predator didn't, like he had seen bigger threats before. Like this was just another strange moment in his life. The predator made a deep clicking growl, but this time it sounded less sure. It was confused. It came here expecting fear, but it found something unusual, confidence, calmness, maybe even boredom. The door behind them closed with a soft hiss. No one dared leave. No one dared speak. Only Jack's voice broke the silence again. "So," he said, tapping the side of the predator's armor lightly, "what exactly do you want?" The entire bar watched, hearts pounding, waiting for the next move. And in that strange, tense moment, one thing became very clear to everyone in the room. Humans were truly something different. The bar stayed silent as Jack stood in front of the Predator. The creature's mask clicked and shifted, scanning him again and again, as if trying to understand why a simple human was not afraid. The other customers held their breath. Some were shaking. Others pressed themselves against the walls, ready to run if things went wrong. Jack didn't move back. He didn't lift his hands or show fear. He stood tall, shoulders loose, face calm. It was not the behavior the Predator expected. The alien leaned closer, its sharp armor plates scraping softly together. It let out a low growl, a sound that made everyone else tremble. Jack just raised an eyebrow. "You done growling?" he asked quietly. "Because I'm trying to finish my drink." A soft gasp moved through the room. A small lizard-like alien whispered, "He is going to die." Another replied, "No, he is going to make us die." The Predator straightened and pointed its wrist blade toward Jack's chest. The glowing blue edge stopped just a few inches away. The bar's lights reflected off the weapon. The air felt tight. Jack didn't flinch. He slowly pushed the blade away with one finger. "Point that somewhere else," he said. The entire room froze. The Predator jerked his head back, shocked. Humans were not supposed to touch Predator weapons, not unless they wanted a very fast end. But Jack's finger had pushed the blade aside, as if it was just a loose piece of metal. The Predator growled louder, its chest rising with anger. It grabbed Jack's shirt and lifted him slightly off the ground. The other customers winced. Even the bartender ducked behind the counter. Jack looked down at the Predator's hand, holding him. "Okay," he said, sounding annoyed. "You really want to do this?" The Predator clicked its mandibles behind its mask. A challenge. Jack sighed. "Fine." He tapped the Predator's wrist twice. It was not a hit. It was not an attack. Just two simple taps. But somehow, the Predator's arm twitched. The lights on its mask flickered for a second. The creature slowly lowered Jack back down. It kept its mask pointed toward him, but the grip loosened. The bar watched this with wide eyes. "What did he do?" someone whispered. Another alien shook its head. "I don't know, but the Predator is confused." Jack brushed off his shirt. "Listen," he said calmly. "This is a bar, not a battlefield. If you want to fight, go to the training arena. If you want to drink, sit down. If you want trouble," he met the Predator's gaze again, "then you picked the wrong human." The Predator looked torn between anger and curiosity. It clicked twice, but the sound had changed. It no longer sounded like a threat. Instead, it sounded like a question. Jack leaned on the bar again and tapped his empty glass. "Bartender, refill." The bartender peeked over the counter. "Jack, I don't think this is the time." "It's exactly the time," Jack said. "If he wanted me dead, I'd already be on the floor." The Predator turned its head slowly, scanning the bar. Every alien looked away, pretending they were somewhere else. No one wanted to make eye contact. No one wanted to give the Predator a reason to look at them instead of Jack. Then, unexpectedly, the Predator stepped closer to the bar. Its heavy boots made a deep echo. It stopped right beside Jack. The bartender started shaking again. Jack glanced up. "You want something?" he asked. The Predator slowly opened a small compartment on its belt. It pulled out a tiny metal cube and placed it on the counter. The cube glowed with a soft red light, a sign of respect among predators. It meant acknowledgement. It meant the human had earned attention, not as prey, but as an equal. The entire bar gasped again. Jack tapped the cube once. "That all?" he asked, sounding unimpressed. The Predator gave a single nod. Jack nodded back. "Good." But the moment was not over. The bar doors opened again with a hiss, and a second Predator appeared. This one was bigger, heavier, and carried a long spear. The customers groaned quietly. One Predator was bad enough. Two felt like doom. The first Predator turned toward the new arrival and let out a sharp clicking sound. The second Predator stared at Jack, then at the glowing cube on the counter, and then back at the first Predator. Jack crossed his arms. "Let me guess," he said. "This one doesn't want to be friendly." The second Predator stepped forward, spear ready. The first predator blocked it with one arm. The bar watched with disbelief. Something unusual was happening. Something no one had ever seen. A predator was defending a human. Jack looked between the two and sighed again. "Great," he said. "Now I have to deal with family drama." The tension grew thicker. The bar waited. Jack Turner, the only human standing tall in a room filled with fear, was about to change everything simply by refusing to back down. Jack stood between the two predators as the bar fell into complete silence once more. The air felt heavy, like a storm waiting to strike. The second predator, larger and covered in darker armor, kept its spear pointed directly at him. The first predator, the one who had placed a glowing cube on the bar, blocked the spear again with a firm gesture. Everyone in the bar watched, confused but fascinated. No one knew why a predator would defend a human at all. Jack did not step back. Instead, he lifted his hand slightly, palms open, not in fear but in calm control. He looked at the second predator and said, "You want a reason to stop pointing that thing at me, or are you just here to show off?" The second predator growled. Its mask flashed with red warning lights. Jack shook his head. "I figured." The larger predator swung the spear forward in a sharp move, and the entire bar gasped. But Jack moved first. He didn't dodge. He didn't jump. He simply tilted his body and caught the shaft of the spear between his forearm and side. It wasn't strength, it was timing. Perfect, impossible timing. The spear froze in place. The second predator made a shock-clicking sound. Its arm trembled. The spear was supposed to cut through metal, yet Jack held it still with one arm like it was just a broomstick. The bar erupted with whispers. "What is he?" an alien muttered. "No human moves like that. He must have cybernetics." Jack ignored the crowd and stared at the predator. "This is your last chance," he said in a low voice. "Don't push me." The predator tried to pull the spear back, but Jack tightened his grip. The predator's shoulders shifted with effort, but the spear did not move. The bar grew silent again, amazed. Finally, Jack let go, and the predator stumbled a step back. The first predator made a deep, rumbling sound, a warning to the second. Jack could tell they were communicating, though he didn't know the language, but he knew something else. Predators respected strength, and right now, one of them viewed him as a puzzle. The other viewed him as a threat. Jack sighed and sat back on his stool. "Look," he said, "none of this would have happened if you both learned to talk before throwing weapons around." The second predator stepped closer again, frustrated. Its spear was ready for another strike, but the first predator blocked it with both hands this time. Jack watched them, his expression calm but sharp. He seemed to understand more than he showed. The bartender finally whispered, "Jack, how did you stop that strike? No human can do that." Jack tapped the side of his neck, lightly. "Learned a few tricks in the Frontier Corps," he said. The room fell quiet. Everyone knew the Frontier Corps was not just a military group. It was the only human force that trained specifically to fight alien raiders. Their training was hard, their skills were rare, and their reputation was dangerous. But Jack didn't look like a soldier now. He looked like a tired man trying to enjoy a drink in peace. The second predator finally stopped struggling. It pointed at Jack, then at the glowing cube on the counter. Its voice came out as a rumbling growl, but the meaning was clear. "Why this human?" The first predator responded with a softer click, pointing at the cube again, then toward Jack's arm, the one that had held the spear. Jack sighed. "You two need subtitles." The first predator looked at him, then tapped its mask. The lights shifted, and suddenly a low voice came from the mask, mechanical and rough. "Human strong." Jack blinked. "Oh, you do speak." The predator nodded slowly. "Human worthy." The second predator growled again, but this time it sounded confused rather than angry. Jack leaned back slightly. "Look, I'm not trying to challenge your whole species, or whatever. I just want my drink." The first predator tilted its head. "You show hidden edge." Jack frowned. "My what?" The predator tapped its mask. "Your moves, your reflex. Faster than record for human. Stronger than normal. You different." The bar fell quiet again. Every alien stared at Jack. Jack stared back, annoyed. Great. Now I'm some kind of science project. The second predator took a step back, finally lowering its spear. It made a thoughtful clicking sound. Jack looked around the bar. Everyone relax. I'm still human. I just had a rough life. Rough enough to learn how to deal with things like him. He jerked his thumb toward the second predator. The second predator didn't get offended this time. Instead, it studied him carefully, as if seeing him in a different light. Jack finished the last drop in his glass. Now, unless one of you wants to buy me a drink, I'm going home. The first predator took the glowing cube, pressed it once, and placed it next to Jack again. The red light became brighter. Jack sighed. That means something important, doesn't it? The predator nodded. Human, chosen. The bar whispered in shock. Jack slowly stood up. Chosen for what? The predator stepped forward, towering over him, and tapped his chest once. Chosen for a hunt. Jack exhaled in disbelief. Perfect. Just what I needed. The bar watched the human with awe and fear. He wasn't just brave. He wasn't just stubborn. He had something inside him that no one had seen before. A hidden human edge. The bar was still buzzing with whispers when the first predator stepped closer to Jack. Its shadow stretched across the floor, long and sharp under the dim lights. The second predator stood behind it, holding the spear in a rigid grip, watching Jack like a hawk. Jack didn't move. He stood steady, his hands relaxed, his breathing calm. But inside, he already knew what was coming. Predators never used the word chosen lightly. The first predator tapped the glowing cube again. Its red light pulsed once, twice, then held steady. A challenge. Jack sighed softly. Of course. Can't just go home and sleep like a normal person. The predator spoke through its mask, its translated voice rough and deep. Human, you must prove strength, prove honor. Jack shook his head. I didn't even ask for this. Chosen, the predator repeated. You accepted cube. I touched it. Jack protested. I thought it was a drink token. The bar laughed nervously. Even the second predator's mask lights flickered in what might have been amusement. The first predator pointed toward the back exit of the bar. Arena. Outside. Test. Jack stared at the door, then at his empty glass. Can I at least finish a beer before fighting something? No. The predator answered simply. Jack rubbed his face. Figures. He followed the two predators toward the back, and the bar emptied behind them. No one wanted to miss what was about to happen. A human being challenged by predators was not a normal sight. It was history. They stepped into the open night, where the small courtyard behind the bar had turned into a circle of glowing stones, an arena set up in mere seconds by alien tech. The stones hummed with faint energy, making the air feel sharp. Jack stepped into the circle. The second predator entered too, spear in hand. The first predator stood outside, acting like a judge. Jack looked at the predator facing him. The creature was easily 3 times his weight, twice his height, and armed with a weapon that could cut through starship plating. Jack had a worn jacket, tired boots, and whatever was inside him that even he didn't fully understand. The first predator raised an arm. Challenge begins. The second predator didn't wait. It lunged forward with unbelievable speed. The spear tip sliced toward Jack's chest in a silent blur. Jack moved just in time. His body shifted to the side. Not hurried, not panicked, almost like he knew the attack before it happened. He stepped past the spear and tapped the predator's wrist. The weapon dipped. The predator stopped, surprised. Jack grinned slightly. Yeah, I'm full of surprises. The predator attacked again, this time with a wide sweep. Jack ducked, rolled, and stood behind it in one smooth move. The crowd gasped. Jack didn't try to fight back. He didn't want to hurt the predator. He only dodged, twisted, stepped, and slipped past every attack. The predator grew frustrated. Its mask lights flashed bright red. It jumped and slammed the spear into ground, sending a shockwave through the arena. The glowing stones flickered. Jack staggered but caught himself. Okay, he muttered. That was rude. The predator charged again, faster, angrier. Its spear crackled with energy. Jack's body reacted before his mind did. He caught the shaft of the spear again, like before, and turned it just enough for the weapon to miss his side. With a quick twist, he unbalanced the predator, making it stumble. The bar crowd exploded with noise. He's winning. No human should be able to do that. That mechanic is insane. Jack didn't feel proud. He felt tired. This could have been avoided, he muttered as he dodged another strike. The predator roared and swung the spear in a furious arc. Jack jumped back, but the spear grazed his sleeve, cutting the fabric. Jack froze, not out of fear, but out of irritation. That was my favorite jacket, he said. He stepped forward. The predator thrust the spear at him one last time. Jack's hand shot out, grabbed the spearhead, and held it still. Energy sparks danced along his fingers, but he didn't let go. The predator tried to push. Jack pushed back, and the predator's spear slowly, impossibly, moved backward. The predator dropped to one knee, overwhelmed. Jack released the spear, breathing hard. The first predator entered the arena and raised a hand. Challenge complete. The second predator bowed its head in respect. The red lights on its mask turned soft and calm. Jack exhaled loudly. Finally, can I go home now? The first predator stepped close and placed a heavy hand on Jack's shoulder. Human, stronger than record. Reflex beyond measure. You rare. Jack frowned. I'm not special. I'm just someone trying to get through the day. But the predator shook its head. No, you carry old power. Human power. Forgotten by your kind. Jack blinked. What does that even mean? The predator didn't answer. Instead, it lifted the glowing cube and pressed it into Jack's palm. This time the cube turned gold. The bar crowd went silent. Even Jack felt the weight of it. Something had changed. Something big. And everyone knew the human mechanic was no longer just a normal man. He was part of something ancient, something dangerous, something powerful. When the cube in Jack's hand turned gold, the courtyard behind the bar fell completely silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. The predators, the bar customers, the workers. Everyone stared at Jack like he had become something unreal. Jack didn't feel powerful. He didn't feel special. His hand just felt warm, and his heart felt heavy. He looked at the predators, confused, tired, and still wishing he had finished his beer first. The first predator stepped forward and kneeled. The second predator followed. Their masks dimmed to a soft blue, the color of great respect in their culture. The crowd gasped. No one had ever seen a predator bow to a human before. Jack blinked. Oh, what are you doing? Please don't bow to me. I don't even know what this cube is. The first predator lifted its head. You have awakened the human echo. It is old, very old. Your kind once had strength that challenged the stars. Jack frowned. My kind? Humans? Us? You must be talking about someone else. No, the predator said. We tested many humans. None awakened the echo. Only you. Jack rubbed his forehead. So what does that mean? Am I supposed to do something? Am I supposed to fight something? Because honestly, I fix engines and drink cheap coffee. That's my usual job. The predator stood, tall and imposing, but its voice remained soft. You do not need to fight. You only must choose. The cube chose you as a leader, a bridge, a symbol of the old strength of humanity. Jack stared at the golden cube. It hummed lightly in his hand, like a heartbeat. He didn't understand its power, but he could feel its weight. Not physical weight, responsibility. Behind him, people began whispering. He's the one. Humans are stronger than we knew. He made the predators kneel. Jack shook his head. He didn't want fear or worship. He didn't want fame or power. He only wanted fairness. He remembered how the predators walked into the bar earlier, how everyone went silent, how they expected everyone to see them as the strongest. He looked at the first predator. What if I don't accept this? What if I just want things to be fair between us? Equal. The predator tilted its head. If you refuse, the cube will sleep again for another 1,000 cycles. The old human power will remain forgotten. Jack felt his chest tighten. He looked around at the crowd. Humans and aliens, all afraid of each other, all unsure where they stood. Maybe this cube really was something old. Something lost. Something that could change the way different species saw humans. He sighed. What does accepting it do? You bring balance, the predator said. Predators will no longer see humans as prey. The galaxy will remember your kind as brave, strong, equal. Jack swallowed. That wasn't small. That wasn't simple. That was a change that would ripple across star systems. But maybe that was the point of HFY. Humanity, humans stepping up. Humans surprising the galaxy. Humans doing what no one expected. Jack looked at the cube again. It glowed brighter when he stared at it. He took a deep breath. Fine, I accept. The cube flashed gold, so bright that the courtyard lit up like a second sun. People shielded their eyes. The predators bowed deeper. A shock wave of warm light passed over the bar, over the street, over the city itself. And for the first time in centuries, the ancient human echo awakened. Jack felt something enter him. Not pain, not power, but clarity. His senses sharpened. His thoughts became calm and steady. The world grew quieter, like everything was finally in order. The first predator rose and tapped his chest with a closed fist. Human Jack, the galaxy will know your decision. We will spread the message. Humans will no longer be mocked or hunted. You have changed much. Jack shook his head. I didn't do anything special. I just stood up when someone needed help. That, the predator said, is the special part. The bar crowd cheered. People came rushing out, clapping Jack on the back, laughing, crying in relief. Even aliens who had looked down on humans before now watched him with new respect. Jack felt awkward. He held up a hand. Okay, settle down. I'm still just a mechanic. I'm not a king or anything crazy like that. The second predator stepped to his side. You are not a king. You are something older. A reminder. A reminder of what? Jack asked. The predator answered softly. That humans are not weak. They are not ordinary. They are not small. When the galaxy forgets, humans remind. Jack didn't know what to say. But for once, he didn't feel small. He didn't feel unseen. He didn't feel like a simple worker fixing machines in a bar. He felt human, and that was enough. The cube pulsed one last time and settled into a calm golden glow. The predators turned to leave. We will return, the leader said, but next time as allies. Jack watched them go, then looked at the crowd. Someone handed him a beer. He smirked. Thanks. I really needed this. The old bartender grinned. What now, Jack? Jack shrugged. Now, I drink. Tomorrow, I fix things. And if the galaxy needs me, he lifted the beer, I'll deal with that too. And for the first time since the challenge began, Jack felt like everything would be okay. Because sometimes all it took for the galaxy to respect humanity was one stubborn human saying, hold my beer.